Hello and welcome back to day 9 of 31 Links of Horror, a very spooky chain of events. This is the series where I tell you about horror books and movies and other things sometimes, and how they link back to one another. So as alluded to yesterday, we are going back to Europe at a very different time in history. We are going to Italy around the year 77. We are going back to talk about Pliny the Elder and his series of 37 books, or encyclopedias, if you will, called Natural History. Natural History is a collection of books about the world, basically. So these 37 books are basically a series of encyclopedias that record everything about the world that they knew at the time in the year 77. So this is about medicine, nature, you name it, and it served as a reference point for like 1,000 years. Because at the time they didn't really understand a lot of scientific principles or concept or whatever about nature, there are actually a lot of horrific scenes where some of the things he would describe would be like in Phrygia, some valleys where birds would just drop dead mid-flight, or like in Arcadia where the water was so poisonous that anyone who drank it would just go blind, or even things like caves which emanated poison gas. Now, much like the cave that the Imbunche is guarding, these are all places where you cannot go in and come out of unchanged. These are more like the horrific side of nature. They are more like warnings rather than nature's wonders. And so not knowing what we know now, this would read really more like horror fiction than a scientist's observation. Although, as we've seen previously this month, we can have some pretty horrific stuff emanate from scientific observations. So obviously now we know things like the caves that emit poison gas would be more like sulfur from volcanoes. Or, I mean, if you have you ever been to Yellowstone or something where there's sulfur coming out and it smells like rotten eggs? Yeah, that's probably the thing. He even talks of regions in the world that were so corrupted that you would just get a disease from breathing the air there. So pandemic, probably. So what's super fun about Pliny the Elder is that, like I mentioned earlier, he wrote this book in 77. However, he took actually many, many years to write these books. I mean, 37 volumes, hello. And he would actually write his book at night after his day job by candlelight, which is like the OG Dark Academia vibe. And so it turns out he might have suffered the consequence of one of his very spooky landscapes that he's describing, because he actually died in the year 79, and that is due to nothing other than the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. And I didn't mean to sound happy about that. I'm sorry. Anyway, did you know about this? Have you ever read any of these naturalist histories? Let me know what you think we're going to talk about tomorrow. The clue about what we're going to talk about tomorrow is Pompeii. It's not what you think, okay? It's like an indirect link. I'm curious what you think, but anyway, let me know your thoughts below. As always, the playlist for this whole series is here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.